Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nine Inning Know It All podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and I'm excited because it's been a while since I've had a guest on. Now, granted, there's been a lot of things going on. Last summer, I was coaching my daughter's fast pitch team, and just, as a lot of you know, I'm from Washington State, moved out here to North Dakota. Things changed, trying to get new jobs, that stuff working out. But I'm excited to have the podcast up and running again. This is episode, I believe it's 195 on Spotify. But if you actually look at the YouTube, you'll realize I have probably about 210, 215. But either way, I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to have as my guest Alec DeMaria. He is the head coach for Valley City State University. Alec, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Appreciate you having me. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. And now I will say right off the bat, I was going through all my hats trying to find a clean hat that wasn't covered in dirt and sweat. And I grabbed, without even thinking about it, a Bismarck State College hat. So right off the bat, I'll say I'm sorry for that. But, at the same time, I did work for BSC, so I have an excuse. But actually, of all the colleges here in North Dakota, I've only taken a class from one college, and that was from Valley City. So I guess you can say I'm an alum of Valley City.
Well, that's good. We can get you a hat from here. It's not a big deal. We're still like they're not in our league quite yet. We're still recruiting their players, and I'm good friends with Jaden, their coach, so no issue for me.
That's awesome. But right off the bat, I do want to talk about, you being at Valley City. This will be your second full season going into it. For you, what are some of the things you've learned in your first year at Valley City, and also some of the things you're hoping to achieve going into this season?
Yeah, no, the biggest one was probably because Valley City, the town and the university here at VCSU, both very welcoming, both great places to be. The support both from the town to the school and from the school within to its athletics has been great. Really, they made it really easy. There wasn't much of a challenge. I mean, yes, the program we had to kind of get it going. There's plenty of good times in VCSU baseball history, but just the exact year where we happened to get here, myself and the coaching staff that's here now, we had some work to do, and we've definitely knocked out quite a bit of it. We got a lot more to go, but the biggest difference, like for me, was going from being an assistant coach to a head coach. I had not done that before, and it's you still love your players and care about them a ton, and the same amount, obviously, maybe even more. Like you want to do everything for them, but the relationship is just so different. You're not in the trenches with them doing the little things, and you're a little bit less of their friend and a little bit more needing to be their mentor. And that was definitely a challenge in the first year, but thankfully, our guys are awesome, and so we had really good retention. They stuck through to the second year, and we're seeing a lot of the fruits of our labor. We're really excited about this year. We had a good step forward last year, a really good one, but we still got a long way to go and got good guys to do it with.
Yeah, and you mentioned that change from assistant coach to head coach, and you've been a pitching coach for a number of years, and working with Dakota State and University of Minnesota Crookston. What is something that you kind of had to adjust? Because now, from being a pitching coach, now you're overseeing hitting, fielding. I mean, you are the head coach. What are some things you've had to kind of learn on the fly or kind of pick up on that maybe you knew but not as in depth as you needed to?
Yeah, not micromanaging. That's one thing for sure. Letting the assistant coaches that are in charge of their different areas take care of their different areas. Not that that was hard or so. It's just you don't realize it and realize how hard it is for, I'm so grateful to the head coaches I had before, Coach Hardy and Coach Gus, the two that head coached over me as an assistant coach. I didn't realize how hard it is to just give something up to somebody. I think I've been able to do that, but it's like you're responsible for so much, and you just go trust it, like a child. Go take this entire half of our team and go teach them how to pitch or how to hit. And those two coaches had done that for me, and so I think it made it a little bit easier for me to do with our assistant coaches. But I could see now how much trust they had in me, and I appreciate it. So I'm just trying to do the same.
And then, like I mentioned, changing from assistant coach to head coach, big change. But I've also found, being from Washington State, moving to North Dakota, that even just the region is different. And you're originally from California, and you came here. Again, you've had some time at U Mary's where you played, Dakota State, now here at Valley. How has that change kind of affected you and kind of impacted you moving from really a very different part of the country to this region?
Yeah, no, well, weather's very different. And I say that to every recruit. Like, I don't try and hide it. Fresno is where I'm from, and that's like almost, it's not a desert, but it's a climate closer to Phoenix than it is to like San Diego or San Francisco. Like it's hot. It's 110 in the summers, and so very different, but it's the people. Like everywhere I've been, all three institutions I've been lucky enough to coach at out here. UMary, where I got to play, but especially here in Valley City, I mean, the people, awesome, and our players, they make it easy. I mean, they're fun to be around every day. They take it seriously. They want to be here. They want to be Vikings, and they're just genuinely good people. So it's nice to be around them and spend time with them. And I learn stuff from them sometimes too. Just not being from here, I learn a lot. So I'm almost a native, but I don't know if I'm actually that close. I don't know if other people would really say that, but I think I'm close.
Yeah, I would say I'm almost a native as well. I've kind of really dove into the whole North Dakota thing. I've got, 10 pairs of gloves and three coats and all that stuff. But, for you, I mean, obviously you came here to play for you, Mary, but what originally got you to come to you, Mary? I mean, what was the drawing factor that got you to move partway across the country?
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny because it didn't really make sense. Like there was no connection. They didn't recruit me. In fact, the person that recruited me to the Dakotas originally would have been Coach Gust from Minnesota Crookston, who was at that point at Dakota Wesleyan University, where he spent a decent bit of his career before he went to Crookston. And I went out there on a visit with my buddy. He was a year older than me. The buddy was probably, he was a really, really good player. He was probably the more highly sought recruit uh, out of us too. And they offered him, he accepted. He was going to come that next year. Very well could have been that I did too. But right before the year started, um, Coach Gus took the job at Crookston. He's from East Grand Forks, so it's right next to home for him. And so I ended up taking a visit there where he invited me in Crookston, a lot closer to I guess it's in the same hours away range, but it's up there closer to Bismarck in terms of that North Dakota, Minnesota. And I happen to be from a Catholic family, and we were kind of looking at it, just me and my dad, and he said, "Well, we're gonna go all the way out there. We might as well just call the school and see if they'll even like maybe they'll have you on for a visit." And so I go there for a visit before Crookston, and I just ended up loving it and met the players. I didn't even know if their coach wanted me when I was there. Like it was hard to tell. I'd never really worked out. They just had some video, but ended up working out, and I had a good time there. I've loved time in North Dakota. I guess this will be total my 6th year here now. My brother is a he's a graduate student playing baseball at UMary, and my youngest brother is actually at Dakota State as a he was the first baseman there for second half of last year. He played a lot, and he started in all 4 games against us, so that was definitely fun.
Yeah, that's got to be kind of an exciting thing, to have family members playing in the area where you can see them, kind of support them, also knowing the fact that they can call you if they got questions. I mean, that's just a kind of a bonus little thing being up here, I gotta think.
Yes, we're all from Fresno, California, yet our family, including our parents, like for Thanksgiving this year, will meet in Fargo in the middle, which is just not close to anything you'd imagine. I could never pick that out of a hat 10 years ago, but
No, I understand that. I've been in Bismarck now for like 3 years and a week, and I had never stepped foot in the state of North Dakota until I moved here. So, not wasn't in my plans, but yet here I am. So, gotta love it.
yeah,
But then,
people are just awesome. Yeah.
yeah, they are. It is so different. And that's one of the things that I was worried about. In the Northwest, I was pretty ingrained in the baseball culture. I knew all the college coaches from junior colleges up to the, D1. I knew everybody. And it was great. And I was like, I'm gonna come here. I'm not sure if they're gonna accept me. And they've been extremely accepting. I haven't had the time that I've had in Washington, but it's been a thing where, every team I've contacted, they're like, yeah, why aren't you already here? You should come out here faster and come talk to us. And it's been really great. And I love the fact that that atmosphere is off the field as well. Like when you go into like Valley City, I've been there a few times just kind of going for the day. It's a whole different atmosphere than other parts of the country. And it really is fun to be around.
Yeah, no, it's just yeah, and here especially in Valley City, there's a huge support for the school, like from the town, and that's one thing. I haven't felt it anywhere else I've been, and I've been in some good atmospheres, good environments. Like it's a little bit different here. I mean, shoot, last year when Valley City and Jamestown played, that was I was not expecting that because I'd been there for the Dakota State, Dakota Wesleyan football game, and like that was cool. There was a lot of people and it was packed. But then the VCSU Jamestown game last year, when it was week 0, I guess you'd call it, it was one of the first college football games in the country. It was on the first Thursday night. I don't know how many people were there, but it felt like about 40,000. And the stadium only seats probably 3 total around the field. And but it was so packed. So packed to the point where they didn't even, like you couldn't even put everybody in the perfect spots. I think VCSU had to run past the Jamestown kind of student section, even though it was our place. But we won, so it was awesome. But man, that atmosphere, and it was the same when we played them in baseball. We played them last fall twice, and they counted, which was a little bit different and new for me. But that was a fun atmosphere too. Once at our place, once at their place. I think one went 12 innings, and it was a lot of fun. Wish we'd have won, but it was a lot of fun.
Now, one of the things, obviously, like I said, I'm wearing my, BSC hat. We know that things are changing quite a bit up here. We know conferences are realigning, teams are moving, that type of stuff. And, Bismarck State is actually moving up to the NAIA level. How do you, as a coach, kind of talk with your players, talk with recruits about the change? What are some things you're telling the guys and kind of helping them prepare as you move forward for next year?
Yeah, so fortunately for baseball compared to the other sports, and look, I shouldn't even say fortunately because a lot of the other sports like football, volleyball, basketball, they're moving into a conference in the frontier that's very, very good. Like it's going to put them on the national scene in a much different way than they have been. But in terms of like travel and change and stuff like that, baseball is really going to be relatively the same. You need 6 teams in the NAIA to have a national tournament bid for your conference. And so when Jamestown leaves at the end of this year and Bismarck enters, we will have 6 teams and it won't change too much. And those 6 teams, Western teams, Montana, everybody else on the frontier, they could add teams, but right now it's just really the same 6. It's got Dakota State, Bellevue, Mayville State, Dickinson State, us, and now Bismarck State. So it's actually a really regional league, very much the same. And so, but with the changing parts, no doubt, because like Jamestown comes in this year, Viterbo and Waldorf left, and Jamestown's a very good baseball program in school. And so it changes the dynamic of the conference. Like we made huge strides last year, going from 7th to 3rd in our league in one year. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, here's another really good team. And instead of, worrying about, oh, the teams ahead of us have this, or the teams behind us have this. They brought in these people. They're doing this. They've got this coach. Instead of that, it's just really focusing on us in this time of everything moving around. It doesn't change too much, but it is enough where instead of getting excited or getting just overdoing it and overthinking it, it's just how much better can we get? When I got here, we had a 5-year plan. We were lucky enough and our guys worked hard enough and the things fell into place where we achieved 2 years of that in one, really. We achieved 2 steps in one year. But we just have to keep working on what we're trying to do. And the ultimate goal of that plan that we came in with was be conference champion, compete for a conference championship. And we have to get to that level. And our players are working their tails off every day to get there, not just on the field, but trying to grow the culture too. It's in a really good place. The guys, they take care of it, they take pride in it. So it's focusing on how well can we do that? How good of a place can we be in and not worry about what everybody else is doing? And how good can we be by the point that we do have those tests? We got to play them.
Yeah, and one of the things that, with you being a pitching coach, I know that in it's been 12, 13 years I've been covering college baseball, things have changed a lot, especially kind of the understanding of what pitchers do, spin rates. I mean, all the different little technical terms, but it's changed a lot, especially I know, on your Twitter profile, it talks about drive line and me being from the Northwest, being near Seattle, I know about drive line. They're an amazing program that, everyone in the Northwest uses. How has things changed in just even your time from being a player to coach? How has that information helped you to develop and then help develop players?
Yeah, the whole different because you can still win in a lot of different ways, and you can still develop a good player and a good pitcher in a lot of different ways. I mean, there is still all the toughness, the grit, the competitiveness, just as much as the spin rate and the data. And same goes as like being a head coach. You've got plenty of coaches that are, I don't want to put them into categories, but you got plenty of coaches that are 60 years old and still don't know exactly what those numbers mean that lead amazing programs and know how to win. And then you have programs that are probably the exact opposite, and the coach may be younger, and they are looking at every single one of those data metrics, and they use that to win. And there's a million different ways, right? But to kind of tie it all back in, I went to school at UMary to be an attorney. I was going to go to law school. And our first coach, great guy, Coach Barda, was really good man, and he was a little bit more old school. And I was pitching old school. That's, it was toughness, it was grit, it was using two pitches for strikes. It wasn't worried about velocity. It was a very specific way of doing things. And we had good pitchers during that time. I mean, no saying that we didn't would be a lie. It's not the way I coach, but it's pitchers specifically, but that's who we were. And there was a transition period, and in the right before my senior year, we got a new coach, and I really didn't know what to think of the guy when he came in, but he he was one of those characters, and now I love him. And he changed the course of my career, not just as a player, but as a coach. It was Mark Moriarty, and he came from Augustana, where they just won the national championship. He's now the pitching coach at the University of Nevada. But he came in, and two good coaches, just very different. And Moriarty, from a pitching standpoint, showed me all these metrics. Like I had a high spin rate fastball that needed to be thrown up in the zone, and I didn't know that. And it completely changed the way that I pitched, and then it made me go, wow, like, you know, maybe I could teach some people some stuff if I can learn some things too. Like I think I'm pretty smart. I was going to go to law school, so maybe now instead of taking the LSAT and doing that, which sounds a lot harder, frankly, I can go and do something a little bit more fun because my dad's an attorney. So, that was something that I did want to go do. But no, I ended up getting a pitching coach job with Coach Gust at Crookston the very next year, and kind of never looked back after that. But it can change in an instant. So that new school of like pitching and coaching, that jumped out to me. That was, I guess I wasn't interested in coaching the old way, which sounds bad or naive. But when I saw metrics and stuff, that's what caught me. And then as I got coaching, I kind of fell in love with all the other parts. And because the best part is the interaction and getting to see the players grow from being freshmen to seniors. And so once I really got to see all of it, I got my master's degree and said, I want to keep doing this. Like I enjoy watching these guys grow up and become men, and then going off and being successful and what they're going to do, and at least feeling like I helped them to be successful. So, and seeing
Absolutely.
them do it. Awesome.
So you're a Fresno guy. So growing up, what was your favorite Major League Baseball team? Because I know Fresno can be tough because you got the Giants, you got the A's who are now Las Vegas, you got Dodgers, Padres, all kind of in that region. Were you a California MLB guy, or did you go out of state for your favorite team?
That's sensitive. That is Oakland all the way. So I was A's and Raiders, and there's not been, other than a few years where the A's had the Moneyball thing going, and hasn't been a lot to be happy about. No. So my dad's side of the family is from Kentucky, from Lexington. So fortunately, I can cheer for the Kentucky Wildcats. And that's one team that wins. Everybody else, like A's, Raiders, Sharks, it's just unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, I do understand that. Once again, from the Seattle area, my Mariners have never even been to the World Series, so I get that. I've seen the collapse more than a few times. So growing up, who was your favorite player to watch?
Yeah, I loved Barry Zito. I loved his curveball. It's just something different when you're a kid. That's cool. I liked him and Eric Chavez, and being from Fresno too. It's now it's Aaron Judge and stuff. But we watched the Diamond Dogs win the World Series when I was 11, so that was really cool watching Fresno State win. None of those guys went on to play for my favorite teams, but that was really fun too.
And then, one things I found as I talked to, especially to coaches, is that it's tough enough to do this on your own, that you've got to have people supporting you, surrounding you. And obviously, you talked about your family, kind of helping you, being there, encouraging you. Who else has been in your life that's really kind of kept you going and kept you moving forward, just with your success?
Yeah. Um, well, yeah, first I'm a very deep Christian, so God, like I really being able to have the opportunities and the blessings to get to work with these guys every day is amazing. I could be off in a million different parts of the world right now, having a much worse life. And so when I really, at the end of the day, realize how lucky I am to be coaching baseball and have relationships with all these guys, that's pretty awesome. But my family, my wife Lucia, we moved here to Valley City. We just became homeowners. We love it here, so that's been a really positive. And my dad coached my little league teams growing up too, so that was he loved baseball. He was a college swimmer at UC Davis, but as soon as I wanted to play baseball when I was like 3, 4, I'd be running around with no shirt on and the baseball and the big bat, wanting to go down to the green belt by our house. But it's everybody. You got to have great assistant coaches. Our assistant coaches here, Coach Thornhill, Coach Pitts, Coach Brown. We got a litany, like we have a lot of them this year. Coach Mertz, Coach Gunderson, um, Coach Anderson, all the way down there. They're great. And so helping to run the program, it takes some weight off my shoulders knowing that the kids are and the players are in good hands. Just because I can't be there doesn't mean they're not going to be taken care of. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things I found, even for like me, just covering baseball without the support of my wife and even my daughters now that they're a little bit older, it'd be hard. It'd just be rough because it takes a lot of time to be out there working with it. But at the same time, I've enjoyed my side of being a part of baseball, doing the photography and the interviews and that type of stuff. To be able to highlight players and teams, it's a lot of fun for me. It's very rewarding for me. So I mean, for you as a coach, being able to see the guys day in and day out, that's really got to have an impact for you as well.
yeah, no, it's great to see them. When they strike somebody out or go or hit a home run or break some record or win a game, like that's awesome. But then when you see them, maybe they come in with a 2.8 GPA and in their first semester they work their tail off and they get a 3.4 and you see them like struggle through psychology or algebra or something all semester and then they pull off that grade when you see all the tutoring center hours and or there's they're here for 4 years. A lot of things happen in their life during that time. You watch something tough happen to them and then maybe they're not a great teammate for a little bit or they're just not themselves and then you see them over the course of the next year take that struggle in their life and grow and then be awesome. They were probably awesome before but show how awesome they are and how much they've matured and all that a year later. So it's the athletic side of it, but it's also the personal side of it, the academic side of it. It's we wanted to be successful when they leave here. No, that part's rewarding. It's also I'd be lying if I said it wasn't rewarding to watch a pitcher come in and throw 83, and by the time they're a sophomore, they're throwing 88. Like that's really cool too. Their personal successes are fun.
Yeah, I know for me, I've there's a few guys that I started following, got to know early on, and now they're married and have kids. And I'm thinking, man, you're a success in life, but it also makes me feel really old because I'm like, man, I knew you were just a freshman, and now you have kids that are almost the same age as mine, and yeah, I starting to feel a little bit older as I go along, but it's fun and I enjoy it. And like I said, being here in North Dakota, it's a whole different atmosphere for me, especially like I said in the baseball terms, because for me, I'm used to being in the Northwest where I can drive 20 minutes and there's 7 colleges within the area. But here in North Dakota, from Bismarck, I've got BSC and I got UMary, but then it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours to get to anywhere else. And you kind of get spread out a little bit. So for you, I mean, recruiting's got to be a little bit different here than other states because of the fact that you do have to travel, I think, a lot more than you normally would have to. What are some things you try and focus on when you're recruiting and when you're trying to get out there to find the next class of players?
Yeah, we got players from all over, that's for sure. We have about a third of our roster, not quite, maybe a quarter of our roster is from Canada, specifically a lot of Manitoba and Saskatchewan residents. But we do have guys from Alberta and a couple from Ontario. We have several from California, one from Arizona. We have a kind of a little pipeline to Las Vegas right now with, I believe, 3 or 4 from there. We've got also plenty of native North Dakotans and Minnesota and a little bit of South Dakota, a little bit of Montana. So we do kind of get all around. I'd say about a third of our rosters from Canada, just slightly less. Another slightly less than a third would be from the West Coast in some capacity. We do have several players from Washington and Oregon. We have a few internationals as well that ended up going to school in the NWAC, and then now they're here. So we're kind of all over. It's really That's a good question with the recruiting because sometimes I'll be talking to a high school player because we do go out to California and Arizona and Las Vegas. I was in Reno. I was in plenty of places on the West Coast this summer. Kind of made a tour out of it. I think I went to 6 or 7 places. And you get them on the phone and or talk to them in person. You kind of have to realize you've never been out here. So it's almost explaining to them that we're not like, no, we do have Costco, we do have Walmart, like those things are here. We have Panda Express, like those things are actually here. It's not just a bunch of us living in igloos. Like I promise, if you drive down Main Street in Bismarck or Fargo, like you're gonna see the Texas Roadhouses and, and like the big hospitals and Costco, and we got tons of restaurants and fast food places and great things here in Valley City too. But yeah, you do see those things. I promise you, we're not just living on a frozen lake. And so explaining that can be a little bit difficult. You don't have to explain it to the Canadians. They're actually coming south, so that's a little bit easier. But yeah, no doubt, we have plenty of players that are key ones for us from the West Coast, and explaining that to them can be a challenge, especially because like I spent 5 days in Arizona this year in July recruiting the Perfect Game World Series, and it was like they could only play at 7:30 a.m. or 7 a.m., 9:15 a.m., and 11 a.m. and they call the rest of the day. And it's like 120 degrees by the time the last game ends. And it's just like, how am I going to explain this? It's actually better, I promise. So no doubt, though. Yeah. Recruiting, we get around, we have to go around a lot. We spend a lot of time in state too. We want the best in state players, but with all the universities here and the amount of baseball that's here and the amount of people that's here, we do have to get out and to make our roster as talented as possible. We want to mix the best in state players and the best in region players with the best ones that we can find from out of the region. And it's going well so far. We'll see if that works, but
Yeah, I know, being from the Northwest, covering the NWAC for a number of years, I saw a lot of guys from Alaska. In fact, I know there's one of the former NWAC players from Alaska is now playing with Bellevue. And last time I talked to him, he's like, yeah, the weather here is great. It's nice and warm. I wear shorts during the winter. And it's like, okay, you get it. Then I've known some other guys, like you said, from Texas and Arizona, and they're like, you know, on a fall day, they're in a full coat, full gloves and a hat, and you're kind of like, it's not even winter yet. You gotta slow down a little bit there, but it is fun to see. I like seeing the guys. I like seeing a lot of the players get to experience something new. I mean, coming out here, being able to see and there is great baseball out here. Just this conference, I've been able to see Dickinson State. I've seen Valley City. I've seen Bellevue play. There's a lot of great talent out here, and it really is just fun to kind of get out there and even the ballparks. The ballparks aren't extravagant, but here in North Dakota, the ballparks you do go to, there's some beautiful views, some nice areas, and it's a lot of fun. Even at Valley City, I loved the first time I went out there. I think it was 2 years ago. The ballpark is just so relaxing. It's not extravagant, but it is a fun place just to go and relax and watch a game.
yeah, no, I do enjoy playing there, and there's been a lot of work done. So since then, they've got a great system here, the Valley City Baseball Association. They've done an outstanding job. A groundskeeper was hired. That's our assistant coach, Coach Thornhill. Like everything is tied together. They have worked hard, both the association and Coach Thornhill is a groundskeeper. And I know our guys put a lot of time in helping there too. And we've seen some improvements. So we got a big new clubhouse. The batting cage may have been there, or may not have been there. See, I wasn't even here yet when you when you came to the field last, but we got two long, really nice turf batting cages down the left field line. Just turf the areas in front of the dugouts because there's nothing more annoying than walking in and the field's all great, but the area in front of the dugout is all wet because it just rained and you gotta. So we just turfed that, and we're turfing our whole home bullpen area too, and just made a huge investment in a fairway mower, essentially like a seated one that is got our outfield looking prime. It's got it really short and looking like golf course fairways, what I would say. So they've made a lot of good investments in the last year and a half to 2 years, and the field has got even better. You'll have to come check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that's kind of on my plans for this spring to get out and get to a few games across the state, and definitely got Valley City on my list. I love going out there and give me an excuse to drive for a little while. I like doing the little road trips. So, but Alec, I do want to say thank you for you taking the time being on here, and I look forward to the spring to really kind of see how Valley continues to grow and to adjust and improve because it's fun to see the North Dakota teams as they get better and be more competitive. It's just good for the whole state.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Well, like I said, we'll have to get you some gear, a hat, so that if you do jump on one of these things again, we'll have you a Vikings hat. We just got new jerseys, new hats are coming in, so things are on the rise in terms of gear and swag. But I agree with you. I think that the area has quality baseball, especially quality college baseball, and we did have a little bit of a ways to go within the last year to catch up and make sure that our name was in that conversation. I do think that we're getting there, and it's about having the right people. And I think we do have the right people in place here and throughout our roster. And that's what makes it exciting. Have people you actually want to do it with. And we do. So I'm hoping we can give you something to be excited about this year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alec. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you. You have a great night, Josh.
You too.